It's become 11 a.m. or 11 a.m. our time, 9 p.m. We're at IDFP. It's time to start the panel. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to this Q&A with Renta, where we've collected your questions beforehand through the Google form. So thank you for anybody who submitted a question. And we'll try to get through as many of them as we can. So first off, let us introduce the Renta BL team who will be on this answering panel, so to speak. So today, as always, we have
Ames. I don't want to go too in depth because hopefully people saw yesterday's, but maybe not. But I'm the head of the translation team. I also run the BL Twitter. That's really about all that's interesting about me.
I've been at Renta for almost 4 years. I'm the head of the BL Blue Sky, and I also contribute to the blog. And my daily duties include editing BL manga and helping the rest of the team with the power of memes.
Hi, I am Yomogi. This is my second year at Renta. I sometimes contribute to the blog, but I would say my biggest chunk of workload is I'm one of the people who do the initial in-house localization checks on our series.
Thank you guys for coming. And without further ado, let us get into some of the questions that you had for us.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
So we'll try to go through as many as we can.
Yeah.
And we'll prioritize the ones we got already on Google Form. But if you have any questions along the way, you can let us know in the chat or the Q&A form.
Yeah, and if
76.
And if there's no time to get to all of them, we can try and answer them on Discord at a later time. But anyway, let's get into the questions.
The entire panel. Oh.
So Moguri asks, what's one aspect of your job or work at Renta that most people are surprised by or don't expect about the job? What do you guys? Yeah.
The most shocking thing for me, because you get a job working with manga, you think you're just going to be doing manga all day, but the sheer amount of back-end and administrative stuff, for me in particular, I stepped away quite a while ago from what essentially Yomogi does now, which is the checking. So I have so many emails, so many Teams messages, tons of paperwork, attending meetings, all of that kind of stuff. The sheer amount of administrative work that goes into this job is quite intense.
Yeah, and related to that, even as someone who mainly does the initial localization checks, there's a lot of coordination between teams or like cooperation, maybe that's the better word. Sometimes we have to reach out to our database team if there is a change in the title. We have to reach out to licensing if we need to figure out more information about a certain series from the publisher. So there's a lot of communication that goes on between the teams within the international department.
Yeah, and so it's essentially a whole ecosystem. But just so you know, the translation team is just one small part of Eigoban Renta or English Renta. There's also the database team, the marketing team, the web team, the licensing team, and then we also have like the Taiwanese Renta team in-house sometimes. So it's quite a lot of people, surprisingly. Did you have anything to say?
I think you guys said it all.
Duh.
On to the next question. Best recommendation for Moguri also asks, best recommendations for hetare seme, aka the objective and uncontested best type of seme. Now, first, how do we define a hetare seme?
Yeah, we struggled with this one because we were like, what exactly where does the hetare begin and end? Like, is it they're stupid for the bottom? Is it because they're just overall bad at things? I don't know. So I don't know. What would you say is the definition?
I was confused because I looked on the Chill Show site and just looked at the hetare seme tag, and then you were like, oh no, that's not hetare seme. So I think the Hetere Seimei is the one, just the friends we made along the way. Or basically, I describe them as loser Seimeis, and
Funny.
I think anybody can be a loser.
Yeah,
Yeah.
loser or like silly, stupid. Sometimes like menhera can count as hetare as well. So it's
Right.
like I think it's one of those things where it depends on the people you
It's
ask.
subjective.
Mhm.
But that being said, here are some recommendations we have for this trope.
I can go over the one that I recommended. I chose Hooked on Being Dumped personally by Taka. In this case, they're both quite hitare, but it's cute because they can't really communicate with each other to the point where even though they are like in love, they aren't conveying it properly, and there's tons of turmoil in the relationship over it.
I recommended Nakajima Wants to Break Up by Sato Nishi. This one is it's really funny, but also really cute because the top here is such a loser baby man child, that the whole premise of the story is that his boyfriend here, wants to break up with him finally because he just can't take how much of a loser he is. But he keeps getting pulled back in because his loser top here is just so adorable and loves him so much, and the dick is good. So it kind of the story is kind of that push and pull of like wanting to leave this loser, but also just caring for him so much because you love him. And he's a baby man child in a really adorable way. So like even as a reader, it's kind of endearing. And I also suggested It's Time for a Snack by Sasaki. And this one is about a college student who gets or I guess he picks up an incubus by accident, and then the incubus starts living with him and feeding off of him. But the incubus is kind of a loser in that the reason he gets picked up by the bottom is because he can't find anyone to feed off of. He sucks at flirting. He's not good at the art of seduction, which is essential for any incubus. And so once he finally gets a taste of the human flesh, so to speak, through Minato here, I think his name is. Um, yeah, he becomes pretty reliant on him. And when they develop feelings for him, it's really funny how the way the incubus it has like his incubus pride, like, oh no, I can't fall for a human, but also, oh, why does he make me so nervous? Why do I act like this? Yeah, he's very clumsy, and it's just a very silly and cute manga all around. So those are our recs for Hetare Seme. Moving on to another rec question. KK asks, do you have any Dom sub-universe BL recs? Yes, we do. Here are some of our recs. We have Sit Good Job by Yoko Misumi. Yomogi, I think you worked on this one.
Partly, yeah. Yeah, that one, I think especially the first, I don't want to say season, but what would be in the first volume, I like the story. Some I think it was one of the first ever Dom sub series I've read.
Yeah, I've often seen this one recommended as like the first Dom sub BL if you're new to the genre because it outlines the dynamic really well. And the relationship is like, of course, the Dom sub like sex stuff is pretty freaky, but the relationship is very sweet and caring and like consent based. So I think it's very easy for newcomers to the genre to check out. And I thought it was very heartwarming too when I read the first volume. Moving on, I think Ames recommended a Doting Dom Sweet Reward.
Yeah, this one is about a Dom sub couple who both have a bit of trouble accepting their dynamic, I suppose. And they've been interested in each other for a really long time, but essentially the sub thinks that the Dom is only interested in him because he wants to like experiment on him because he's interested in doing research on dynamics. But in truth, he started doing the research because he's in love with the sub. So it's actually a surprisingly romantic one.
Okay, and then I can talk about Brad Tamer King. If you saw our panel yesterday, this is the series from which I am the Uke-chan. Look at the Uke-chan. He's so cute.
And Seme has a fang.
Yeah, Seme has a fang and thick brows.
Yeah, very attractive couple.
Yeah, just like ticks all the boxes for me as a reader. And also the art style of the Sakka-san, Kitahara Lee sensei, I absolutely love. Very beautiful and just overall pretty. And fun fact, the mangaka-san is like obsessed with gemstones and rocks, I think. So there's a lot of references to different like types of rocks and like jewel stones that are interesting.
Yeah, so all you geology nerds, definitely check it out. On to the next question. What's been your favorite title that you licensed in the past year of 2025? This one was a kind of difficult to answer on a technical level because there are some things that we've licensed but we haven't released yet, so we can't really talk about them, but look forward to those. So we kind of answered this in the sense of our favorite manga that's been released on Renta in 2025. And here are our respective answers to those.
So here are my favorite releases from last year. Beware the Haters in Love for the 100th time. I keep recommending it, and Ames loves this series too because it's just so messy and Dead Dove and dark, and also the Uke Shirayuki, the one with the blonde hair, is such a hitare. And I just love it. And then Businessman Love Battle by Yan Sensei. This is a recommendation, especially if you love the more like buff types of characters. And I also I recently ordered and received in mail like one of this mangaka's newer works, so I'm really excited to read that one too.
As for me, these are the two series that really stood out for me in 2025. One of them is Hajime Masamune and Tits, which will come as no surprise to my fellow BL members because I am a huge lover of the boobie, as is one of the main characters, Masamune here, I think. Oh, yeah, Masamune. Because it's just a really cute story about two teenage boys who are childhood friends, and they start acting on their horny urges with each other, just as an experiment, like bros do, and realizing that they may have feelings for each other that go beyond like regular childhood friendship. And the story is kind of told in a series of vignettes about their daily high school life, which are quite entertaining and funny in their own right. But it's also really sweet watching them grow closer. And of course, the tits on display are wonderful to look at. The art is really nice, and just a 10 out of 10. I recommend it to anyone who likes fluffy, cute stories. And my other recommendation is Reborn as a character in a dating sim on hard mode. This is like an isekai story of a salaryman who gets transported to a world of an Osume game, and he's supposed to be the best friend side character, but instead all the male leads start falling for him, especially this really hot guy here. And he's tried to grapple with the fact that he's supposed to just play his role as a side character, but also this really hot guy is coming on to him and he doesn't necessarily dislike it. Oh, and also there's this funny little cat character who looks like a hamster who gives him special items such as a vibrator.
I guess teleported into his.
Yeah, there are some wacky scenes like that. It's very funny, but also very hot in the spicy scenes, and the story too has some serious moments that really make you go, oh. But yeah, overall, it was a very fun reading experience. And as for Ames,
I won't go too in depth because we've already talked about these ones at length, I feel like. It was the end of spring, obviously, was a very beautiful, anything by Buri no Jiro is incredibly beautiful. But just like a very sweet, gentle story about kind of two people learning to trust in their feelings for each other. And then Me Fall for You, of course, by Machiba, was surprisingly touching. Evidently, that's my theme for 2025. I just like stuff that surprisingly I was quite touched by. But it deals with a character who has a lot of trauma about his sexuality, and so he meets an out and proud guy who he has a lot of bitterness toward because he can't relate. But as they slowly get to know each other, they're able to like heal and move past some of their personal issues. And then for my third one is My Imperfect Marriage to My Childhood Friend. This one, Yomogi kind of showcased it yesterday, but it's about this like very strange future Japan where in order to kind of like fix the loneliness and marriage crisis, they kind of pair people up through the government based off of personality and what you want out of life. So like who would be a good match. And it turns out that these two who've been absolutely in love with each other all this time get matched. And so they have to kind of have that like minefield of like, is our love true or are we only together because the government matched us together? And it's very sweet, and I'm in love with the Uke Tolma. He's stunning.
Next question from Cream. Any older works on Renta that you really love? Like so anything that's 4+ years old? Oh, these are some of my choices. My Quiet Best Friend's Just Tongue-Tied. This one was very popular when it first dropped on Renta. Look at has like 183 reviews, very highly rated. And I have a special connection to this one because before I even got hired at Renta, I remember seeing it pop up on like an Instagram ad or something. And I was like scrolling through the preview panels and I just read that I could tell like the story was about like some guy who can see the horniness level of his friend, even though his friend is like always stone cold, still face like this. And apparently the horniness was directed at him, his BFF. What? But the sad thing was, when I refreshed my Instagram page, it disappeared, and I thought, no, I'll never find that manga again. But then when I got to Renta, I realized that we had the English version, and it was a Renta original series that we published in-house. So I was really blown away by that. And then I finally got to read it, and of course, it's very cute, very horny, nice art. The dicks are drawn surprisingly detailed for a Japanese manga that's technically censored. So yeah, it's a long seller at Renter, like very highly rated already. But so I think many people might know about it. But yeah, it stands the test of time, I think. Also, Life, the Road That Leads to You. I saw some people talking about this one in the Discord yesterday, but oh my gosh, I can't recommend it enough. But I want to recommend you read it at least once, but it's one of those series where you might read it once and then never again because it makes you cry too hard. It's about a couple and just how their relationship changes and the challenges they go through, like over a span of decades, basically, throughout their whole life. And it's just so heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time. But yeah, I feel like it's a hidden gem that everyone should read at least once. And then I want to rep my goat Jake Akahoshi with I Just Want to Hide My Pink Little Things. It's about a man who works as a CEO for a men's lingerie company. Yeah, apparently someone decided that men need bras and panties just like women, and I mean, yeah, why not? And the Uke here is very insecure about his nipples, and so he starts modeling the CEO's men's lingerie line. And it's as silly as it sounds and sexy as it sounds, of course, but it's also surprisingly sweet and touching the way that their relationship, they get closer through this strictly business relationship at first. And yeah, I'm really glad I got to discover this one when I was doing research for my Jake Akahoshi blog post. Yeah, plug for the blog.
I'm actually not going to go too in depth in any of these because since I've worked here so long, I frankly have too many. Kind of old hidden manga that I would love to recommend because the unfortunate thing about I guess our site or maybe like just the sheer amount of manga that's on our site is that a lot of stuff gets hidden as soon as it kind of becomes like a year or two old. So I just wanted to essentially share, I think there's 9 manga that in the course of me being here, I really love. So the first one is Adorable and Impossible by Owaru. It's the reason I love this one is because anybody who kind of knows me well or follows the blog and stuff like that knows that I love Junjo Bitch, which is like very sweet but slutty characters. And the uke is peak demonstration of that. He is unbelievably cute. And then I guess a similar example of that is the one-eyed wolf in the Sahara by Ames. Byaku is essentially the beautiful uke that's hugging him from behind. He's essentially the mascot of the BL team because we love him so much. He's perfect. That's really all I can tell you about that. You need to read it to find out why he's perfect, but he is perfect. Then the two on the bottom is Koko Aino, who was a mangaka I was introduced to through Renta. You might have read her ASMR one, which I think is in print in English. But a lot of her, well, I suppose her ASMR one is also very kind of sweet and like has its bittersweet moments. But her older works are a lot more toward like the bittersweet kind of gentle slice of life vibe. And then
No, you had more. I didn't even notice.
I'm sorry. That's why I can't really explain them in too much detail. But I can say I Love You in the Afterlife is a really good kind of like time travel isekai vibe, where these two people who loved each other when they were in high school are separated from a misunderstanding, and then he tries to unalive and goes back in time, and he ends up reliving those years together and then trying to fix essentially what went wrong. And then this other one, I might be your fan, but I'll Never Fall for You by Kaoru Watanabe. This is the manga that introduced me to Kaoru Watanabe, and I absolutely cannot recommend Heart Cell enough if you like really, really unique art, really beautiful, detailed, sketchy eyes. This one is about like an idol, and then he meets kind of like a junior idol or actor, and there's a lot of, I don't know, sexual tension that ensues. First one on the bottom is Playboy Beast. It's got a really good Omega-verse kind of like beast vibe to it. The thing that I really, really remember though of this one is that it has really good animalistic sex scenes. Then Sadistic Madness. This is the manga that introduced me to Ochazuke Wasabi. Wasabi. This one is about like a guy who works at an S&M bar, and then like the kind of hetare guy that becomes a little bit obsessed with him. And then Huge Ames Lore Bomb, The Unexpected Expert by Ai Kawaaki is the very first manga I ever worked on my first day at this job.
Wow.
So I have an extreme fondness for it. It's a very silly manga about a total virgin loser genie guy who is just unbelievable in bed for absolutely no reason. But it's got a secondary story with a secondary couple, and that one it's got an uke named Hibikun. I love him. He's so wonderful. So I highly recommend this one. Apologies if it could have been better. It was my very first thing that I ever did.
All right, moving on to the next question, also by Creed. What would your ideal collab or event for your favorite BL look like? Such as like event type, location, theme, etc. What do you guys think?
Oh, I can go first. So this is more of an ideal, like if this existed, I would absolutely love it. But since I like cooking, so a BL themed cooking or baking class where you learn to make a dish or like baked goods that symbolizes a BL couple would be absolutely fun. Like I would sign up, take my money. I don't care how much the lesson costs. Yeah. Ames, I think you have some other.
I do. It's hard for me to really think about an ideal one, if I'm completely honest, because essentially my ideal is I just want to look at the art up close. So that essentially already exists in the form of exhibition. For instance, this last fall I went to the Libre B-Boy exhibition, and it had Kumota Haruko's actual analog artwork framed and on the wall, and you could actually like lean in and look at the line work and the pencil sketches, and it was so beautiful. And so I'm sorry, I don't really have an ideal or like a fantasy of it. But just that kind of thing is what I like most, because I like BL as an art form first and foremost, and so I just want to look at it very closely. Also, they had Hiro Haruyoshi's manga in like high res, so I was able to look at the hands up close.
Very important.
Very important.
I like any events really that are going on for a series I like, as long as I just want them to be easy for me to get to and easy for me to get into. Like there are some events where you have to make a reservation months in advance and then pick a very specific time slot on a very specific day of the week. And it's like, please just take my money. Let me enjoy the BL. All right. Next question from Cream. What BL do you want line stamps of? Ooh, if you guys are familiar with
your answers.
if you aren't, what? What'd you call
So-
If you guys are familiar with Line, it's the major messaging social media app in Japan. So it's like just like a messenger. What? Why
Yours
me?
is the most important.
Is it?
Yeah,
Mine's not even BL though.
it is BL. What are you talking
Okay,
about?
I've been complaining about this to the people on my team, but I know it's not technically BL, but Famides Eco, there's already I already had the karaoke Eco stamps. I use them all the time. They're so useful. I love Wayama art and paneling and just the one-liners and their manga are so great. And there are so many moments.
The cat.
There are so many moments in the manga, but also like the in-universe cat manga series. We only get a sneak peek of it in the manga, but I would love to use those on Ames and Yomogi in our group chat. So just so iconic. Please,
Yeah.
please release them. I'll
We
pay.
already used the karaoke eco ones.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Just something I would love as line stamps would be the Shiba Inu Love series. So this is something I mentioned in the upcoming ones. I believe it comes out in April. There's just so many like memeable scenes from that manga. I feel like those would be perfect for like line conversations. And then this other one I actually have in love. This isn't technically this isn't BL, but just want to put it out there is I have line stamps from Play It Cool guys, and like there's just so many cute ones that I use almost on the daily. So even though that's not BL, that's something I have already that I use almost every day.
What?
Joy.
Oh, sorry. I thought because you pushed me to go first. Okay, what's your answer?
Mine is simple. I just want line stamps of Love Chain, Love Gene by Ebino Bisque because the faces in that manga are so cute and they have so many cute scenes where they make absolutely ridiculous expressions. Mana-chan, Mana-chan ski.
I like the butler who doesn't make many expressions.
The butler will make expressions later. In the continuation.
So Cream also asks, how do you store your BL merch and Tokten, like the little bonuses you get from events or books? How do we store them, guys?
I guess I'll go first. I generally try to display them as much as I can. Unfortunately, I'm running out of bookshelves. Rest in peace. But I try it, like one thing that's really nice about, I guess, oshikatsu in Japan is that it's very easy to get stuff to display your goods quite stylishly and cutely. So essentially my whole room is very decorated with akusta and then like nicely framed little cards and also like very specific tape that you can use to stick up the postcards and stuff on the wall without damaging them. So other than that, I usually just store it in boxes, and then there's also really nice sleeves also at the 100 yen shop. So you can take really good care of everything.
For me, I like to use them to decorate my workspace, just to give me a little motivation during the day. If there's something flat and like a postcard or like clear file, I like to put them in little binders or clear file holders so I can kind of flip through them at my own leisure. You go, ooh, pretty. And then a bad habit I do is, especially in the case of like the random badges or things, when I get like multiples or like random things I didn't particularly want, I end up letting them pile up until I figure out what to do with them in my apartment. It's quite unfortunate and I feel bad, but yeah, it is what it is. Also, I used to keep everything in the original plastic packaging because I thought that was simpler and like an easy way to prevent dust from piling up. But Ames called me out on that she was like, "Why do you never take them out of their condoms?" Because I want to keep them safe. It's like, what's the point? Because if you're just gonna buy another plastic covering to keep them safe anyway.
You treasure them by using them.
Used goods.
Okay.
As for Yomogi.
Yeah, as for me, like I'm a huge fan of acrylic standees. So I like to put them in like plastic casing boxes from like Daiso or 100 yen stores so that they don't get dusty. Like if you didn't know, Tokyo is a very dusty city and dust accumulates like twice as fast as how like the pace that I was used to living in the US. So those are good. Yeah.
Thank you for all the questions, Scream. Oh, sorry. Are you following any serializations? What do we have to say?
I'll go last because I'm following too many.
Yomogi, you had this specific.
Oh yeah. So I'm like not actively following the magazine since I like to wait for like tankobon volume releases, but I am waiting patiently for the continuation of Heaven and Demon. The newest storyline is, I believe, ongoing in a Cupa Takeshobo magazine, but yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
Yeah, I prefer to wait for the tankobon release too, as because they usually include like extra content or special tokuten for the purchasing the book. So I kind of have to be careful when I'm discovering new BL series that look like I would really want to that look like really at my alley, but they're only being released chapter by chapter because I'm always like, oh no, but I don't want to have to wait for each chapter. I have to buy the tankobon. So I'll like write down the name and then keep an eye out for the tankobon release later. But there are rare cases where I'm just too impatient and I want to read it the second it comes out. For example, the Oma Kiss continuation, or as we have it on Renta, you should be the one to come kiss me. We're really excited for that release, those chapter releases. They're Sensei's taking their time, but they're very worth it so far. Also, of course, Famides Eco recently the finale dropped, and
We took a half day.
Yeah, I bought that shit digitally the second it dropped at midnight, and then the morning we took a half day to go and buy the magazine for the special Tokten. Yeah, that's my story.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Unlike my coworkers, I am incredibly impatient and I almost never wait for the tankobon. So I have a bad habit of purchasing not just the chapter by chapter, but also the tankobon digitally and then the tankobon physically. I read a lot of stuff through Kier, particularly Enmaru's stuff. I don't know if anyone else reads Enmaru, but they're through Kier, so hopefully we can release them. Also anything through Toll and B Pills. I like to keep up with, even if I'm eventually going to read it for work anyway. I'm also keeping up with continuations for series I like Noomi-kun and Mayo-chan, and also, of course, once it's released, the continuation for Love Chain, Love Gene. And then recently, I've also been in 2 new series by Majokoid and Hodana. Joe.
Funny story, like since Ames like always buys multiple volumes for Tokuten and such, like I
Call out.
Hey, it's called supporting the artist.
Yeah, I sometimes like buy the volume I'm interested in from Ames so that she gets to keep the Tokuten and I get to read the story.
You got like 8 copies of Love Chain, Love Chain.
Yeah.
Would you do it again?
Yeah.
That's true love.
I would buy more.
Just cause?
Yeah.
Good. All right. Have we all said our piece? We are at peace.
Oh,
this one's from Crane and Deadly Dapperling. Maybe they had a very similar question. Yeah. Do you have any favorite BL magazines or labels? Oh, Ames time has come.
I really love Kier. There's multiple reasons for this. Part of me loves Kier as a fan, and part of me loves Kier as like an industry person. The way they interact with their authors, I don't know if anyone follows Kier's socials, but they interact with their authors very heavily and are extremely supportive of their authors and push their work constantly. And I think it's really wonderful. They're also really careful to make sure to give equal treatment to all of their releases. And I think that's wonderful. And also like as a fan, they have like a lot of newer artists and occasionally established artists who just feel like writing more unusual stories. So there's like a really great variety to them. And I love them. I love them. I'm a creep, so I call Kier my husband.
Oh, Kirkun.
Yeah,
Kier-kun.
Kier.
They have their
Kirkun.
mascot who's a K in a suit. And sometimes Ames flirts with him via the official Renta Twitter.
Yeah. My love.
Nice. As for me, this might maybe it's like too mainstream, might maybe too obvious, but I really love the From Red and On Blue series magazines, series that come out of those, as well as Moment. And funny thing, all three of these, I believe, are owned by Shoe Cream, the publisher. So it's like every time a BL destroys me, it seems that Shoe Cream is always at the scene of the crime. So I can always rely on them for something devastating or sexy or both.
For me, I have to say, like, I typically enjoy anything from the I Hertz or Hertz and Craft lines by Taiyo Tosho. This is the publisher that Guri Nojiro Sensei's, like, it was the end of the spring. It was the end of spring was published. Brad Tamer King, Kitahara Lee Sensei, Rabbit's Forest that's upcoming. I just love a lot of their story-centric BL that also sometimes like destroys me emotionally.
Right, next question from Anonymous. Ooh. Between wholesome, sexual, or plot-heavy BL, which kind sells the best on English Renta? Is there a specific trope that has noticeably higher sales than others? Well, we seem to have built a reputation for ourselves that we're not proud of as the Beastman BL
I'm proud.
site. We are for the beast fuckers. Yeah, not a, but because yeah, it does seem that sexy BL does seem to top the charts of Renta, especially certain tropes like Beastmen and Omegaverse. But that's not to say that more quote unquote wholesome BL doesn't do well too, though. Like, of course, Omakis did extremely well. And I think that reviews and word of mouth seem to have a big impact. So if you think something is good, whether it's sexy or wholesome or very deep and plot heavy, it really helps to just share it on social media or write a nice review for it. Because yeah, your opinions makes a difference. But yeah, we are not ashamed of our beast fucker roots.
And yeah, like just to add to it, our licensing team usually pays attention to reviews. So if a certain like trope or certain series gets a lot of reviews, then that usually tells them to that's a sign for them to look into other works that handle similar themes.
Hope that answers your question a bit. Next, Kathy asks, what kind of feedback from readers is useful to hear about specific titles they like, publishers, authors? What do you guys think?
Any kind of feedback is good, but I guess my only note is that please make it actionable and honest. And by actionable, I mean, like, there's nothing I can really do if I just receive like a comment or like an inquiry that's like, I hate your localizations. Because then I'm like, okay, but what can I do to fix it? Like, what can I do to help this situation? So it's like anything where it's like you're just giving me like feedback that is something that I can actually make a movement in. That's always very appreciated and very helpful.
Yeah, like something detailed instead of just a general impression. And
exactly.
Like also, we love any and all kinds of feedback that are honest. But one thing that I want to put out there is that hearing feedback directly from our users, whether on Discord that we now have, or via our like inquiry form. I know it's phrased weird. I don't even know how that came about, but that's our like contact us questions feedback form on our website. But anything that comes directly from the users usually carries more weight than us Renta staff relaying like, hey, we saw these kind of comments or users seem to feel this and that. So we do appreciate anything that you have to say through those, I guess, like direct official channels.
Yeah.
So like anything like cough cough image quality. I know that's an issue. But if you can funnel those through the inquiry form or Discord as like direct messages from fans, that would be amazing. Thank you so much for your
Yes,
time and support.
And just to respond to one of the questions in chat, can we have an example since I'm not used to commenting on things? What we essentially mean is instead of just saying like, I hate your localization, say like, I wish you would use honorifics or I wish you would do this. So it's something that like I actually know where the issue lies so that we can actually like make a move on it one way or the other. Another one is like your site is hard to use. Instead of saying the site is hard to use, feedback that is really helpful is like I was having trouble with the search. The search is confusing. Like those kind of things are what we're referring to.
Oh, and one more thing. Please give us, if you have a request for a license for a specific title, please give us those, whether it be via the official manga request form on the Renta site or just adding us on social media like, hey, could you get this? Even if it seems like a long shot, we do relay all of those to our licensing team.
Mhm.
And it may depend on the publisher and our relationship with them, and it may take a long time, but we really do our best to try and give you guys, give the users what they want to see on Renta. And it makes everyone happy. All right, moving on. Kathy also asks, we often get requests for a list of BL you would recommend a newcomer, but what about the opposite? So for like a BL veteran. And this one was a bit difficult for us to answer.
For me personally, it's probably because I also just don't really believe in the like whole like newcomer BL thing. Because if you fall in the swamp, you fall in the swamp. Like it's I don't know. Maybe it's because I've been into it for so long that it's like hard for me to really differentiate between the two. But I guess just dark stuff, like maybe harada, kana, like neg and pause.
Yeah, I used to say just like, oh, just pick up whatever interests you. I mean, whether you're that's so odd, but whether you're a newcomer or a long time BL reader. Like I was joking with Yomogi earlier that like your first BL was a Nokori, but then he's like, what did you say?
Oh, my actual first BL was Breathless Momentum. But then like soon enough I was reading Nokori and Sumeshi, the Rabuho Danshikai series and such. So yeah. Another thing I want to add to this is like you never know you never know when your tastes change. So a funny story is for the Ayame Erika series, the boy with the secret account, that series.
One of the innocent boys.
Yeah. I sort of like made a comment like, oh, the art isn't my style, blah blah blah. I probably won't read it like a year or two ago.
An enemy out of me.
Yes, I accidentally made an enemy out of Ames. But then, like this past month, I was looking at it to choose inside images to feature, and I was like, this is so good. This is so tender and sweet, and my tastes changed, evolved, and yeah, people change. Growth. So just going back to series that you thought you wouldn't enjoy in the past is a a good way for you to discover even more works.
Yeah, you're never too early in your BL journey for Nokori or Harada or anything that is considered hardcore.
So said Nokori stuff is scary.
Hey, no, don't out me. I'm a baby. Anyway, okay. Kathy also asked, I know it's very artistic. Kathy also asks, have there been any manga or series that make you think, wow, that could only be possible or get published because it's a BL? And what we had some thoughts to share.
Who would like to go first?
You could, I'm piggybacking off of you.
So. I had my notes.
Oh my gosh, time is
so I know the time is going so fast. So essentially my response to this isn't really that I can give like a direct recommendation that I think a specific manga wouldn't be very good or not that only worked because it was BL. More that I think BL is one of the huge strengths of the genre to me is that you can use the male body to discuss gendered issues that would be very unfortunate or uncomfortable to have to, or even triggering, I suppose, to have to explore if you were using like female characters. And so I think that that is like an incredible strength of BL because you can really explore like a lot of themes and a lot of things that would make you kind of uncomfortable or upset if it was a male female couple or even a female female couple. And so like that's one thing I really appreciate about the genre. And so like Omegaverse I think is a good example of that. Like Japan in particular uses Omegaverse quite strongly to kind of discuss these highly gendered things using Omega and Alpha about like it's kind of an interesting look into gendered issues in Japan if you read Japanese Omegaverse because it deals with those issues a lot.
Mm. Yeah, just going off what Ames just said, yeah, I totally agree. Like when I see a het sub dom or Omegaverse story, I'm like, oh, not for me, not interested, absolutely not. But when it's BL, pump that shit directly into my bloodstream. And don't get me started on MPreg because we only have 15 minutes left, and the panel will devolve into an hour of my MPreg ramblings, as it almost did last year. So we should probably move on. All right, and Bell of Sea of Reeds asks kind of similar questions. That is, what is the process for creating an English name for a manga? What is one of the most challenging titles you worked on? And Ames, you had some words on this.
Yeah, essentially we generally try to stick as closely to the author's intention with the Japanese title as possible without it sounding like a literal translation. So like there's one the other day where it was like if we stuck too directly, what was it? Something it used bunny, but the
Oh
bunny
yeah,
sense,
my bunny
nantoka-san.
secretary. Yeah.
So in cases like that, it doesn't make any sense in English. So we have to kind of localize those. But for the most part, we just try to keep it as close to the author's original intention as possible.
That being said, here are some of the English titles that had an interesting backstory. There's Lingerie Thick, where the original Japanese was Lingerie Plump. And we were struggling to how do we get across like this idea of he's in lingerie and also he's like the same age obsessed with his ass, and I think that's where the plump parts come from. His body just so plump and luscious. One of the pitch titles was like underwear
Plump.
Underwear and like
What? No.
it's not quite as sexy. But I think Ames landed on this title because it's just as like kind of silly and weird as the Japanese, because like plump isn't really a word you see out in the wild too often. I think it was made specifically for this or used very specifically for the Uki's ass. So we're like, yeah, he's thick. And like of course English readers will get the point, I think, when they see this title. Thick boy.
Yeah.
Motto kawaiku natte ii became I want to spoil you. The literal title is more like you can get cuter. Like don't feel ashamed. Like I just want to see you bare your boobs and everything here. But we wanted to keep that the theme of like praise kink and spoiling your loved one. And one thing that made me really happy about this one is that the author, Nobiru Hoshi sensei, who we actually had the pleasure of interviewing in one of our BL mangaka interview projects, they retweeted the English release post that Ames made at one point and said like, oh, so this is the English title they went with, and like the meaning is slightly different from the Japanese one, but they seemed to think it was really interesting how it got translated, and they liked it. So we're always very happy to see the creators' reactions to our choices, because we're always secretly terrified that like, oh no, what if the creator sees us and they don't like how we localized it?
Yeah, as BL fans, that is like the absolute thing that like destroys us more than anything is if the mangaka sees our work and doesn't like it. I would end myself.
And one last good funny example is leg locking hunky maid, sexy heartthrobs. What a mouthful, by the wonderful Ikuyasu sensei. And like of course this is an Ikuyasu title. The wonderful chaotic mind of Ikuyasu. The original Japanese title was No Satsume do in Shizaz Echi Echi Kyun, which on its own doesn't make a whole lot of sense either.
Scissors specifically is you wrestling heads out there. if you exist, will know that that's like a wrestling move, and it's because they're in like the wrestling club. But it was like, okay, we can't just put scissors.
This isn't
For
the
a variety,
GL.
for a variety of reasons, we can't just put scissors. So I think that our freelancer did a really good job kind of finding a good workaround.
Yeah, because leg locking, I think like locking is also a wrestling move, but you know, it also brings to mind some more sensual ideas. So this one was kind of a team effort, but we're pretty happy with how it worked out. Robotbot 801, nice yaoi reference. How much does BL manga pay creators in Japan? Has there been improvement in pay?
For this one, we actually really can't answer because we're not on the, I guess, the henshu or the editing side of the industry. We're essentially only on like the English side of the industry, much more so than on the content creation side. So this generally is going to have like you. Here it is. So this is gonna have a lot to do with like how popular the artist is, what publisher they're working with, how much draw their name has, how established they are in the industry, how long they've been there. So that's really the only insight I can give on that because we only really work directly with the publisher. We do not work directly with the artist unless the publisher opts to bring the artist in.
Oh, bro. What Doshido asks, what trends do you see in the international BL scene versus Japan? How do you balance both when it comes to licensing?
Was that the only one?
Yeah, you know more about the industry.
Okay. Yeah. Well, my answer for that is essentially that Western fandom sticks quite hard to wanting BL characters to be masculine. I'm sure that there's like a variety of reasons for that, and it also has to do with the difference between gendered norms in the West versus in Asia and all that kind of stuff. But in Japan, the trends a lot more recently are about the boys being cute and being pretty and being like a little bit femme. You see a lot more often. Surprisingly, I see it even in shoujo quite more frequently. That the love interest no longer just looks like the boy next door. He's often very beautiful, which I won't read shoujo, so I'm always getting, I don't know, I'm like, that's a bottom. I'm like, I hope she pegs him. But yeah, essentially that's kind of like the biggest thing is the difference between how masculinity is handled and which preferences the Western fandom and the Japanese fandom has for them.
All right. And Netlexia asks, what are some series or titles that staff have personally requested? Are there any currently available on Renta? Any other recommendations? And I think you two had a direct hand in these coming onto Renta.
Me. Oh, mine's on top, so I guess I'll go first. The one that actually Yomogi just mentioned is The Boy with a Secret Account Wants the Innocent Boy's Love because I love Ayame Erika. My concern is actually that this would not sell because of what I just mentioned, where the characters are very sweet, very cute, very gentle. And Ayame Erika's art style is very shoujo-esque. So I was very, very, very yes, I am on top. Thank you, Squeak. So I was worried that this would not be popular in the West, and I didn't want to try to force my company to purchase and put all the work and effort into translating it if it wouldn't sell. But when I talked to the head of the licensing team, she very, very kindly requested it. And so it showed up one day in my translation orders. So please buy it. I will please prove that it's profitable.
Yes, and it was good. I enjoyed it, even though I thought I didn't enjoy it at first. And then my personal request that I made to the licensing team was the Nokori Sensei handsome salesman work. I won't go into too much detail of what the manga is about because I feel like many of you know it. But it's just I was like, I don't know. Nokori Sensei is one of my favorite authors, and I actually one time wrote and sent in a fan letter, which made me feel like I don't know. I just want to express my thanks for everything they do.
It was funny because Yomogi had been working here like maybe 3 months max at that point, and he's like, do you think we can request an Yomogi? And it's like, well, I guess I know what Yomogi likes now.
Yeah, I outed myself on my BL taste. But the common theme with both of these is that these come from publishers we have good relationships with. So like publisher relations is another big thing in terms of like whether we can actually get licenses. So yeah, these worked out in our favor.
They did.
All right. We only have about 5 minutes left, so let's try and get through as many as we can. Speed round. All right. V asks, fade manga with pathetic, slimy, sleazy, slum scumbag characters.
Okay, we won't explain him too much, but me fall for you. The uke is an absolute asshole tsundere. On the verge of love, the uke is a complete hoe, and does not want to experience love and is not interested in dealing with the seme, but he eventually falls for it. And then for my third recommendation, Shirayuki is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Oh, and don't worry, we'll be posting links to these series on our Discord and the discussion den, Renta BL Lounge later, hopefully sometime today. So don't worry, and I believe this whole panel is going up on YouTube eventually.
It is.
Yeah.
And for the Q&A, because we are only able to get through half of these, thank you for all the questions. We will answer the rest of them probably on the blog sometime in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, thanks guys for sending so many questions.
Yes.
All right, V also asked, who are your favorite yanderes?
My choice is Kirisawa from My Cute Stalker. So his apartment gets broken into, and he ends up like coming in contact with the burglar. But then he's like, "Wait, you must be my stalker," and it's just so funny how their relationship starts out. And he's also someone who loves the uke like a little too much in his own way. But yeah, that's my yandere rec.
All right, let's get into some wacky stuff. Top 5 work group chat names of 2026, or just the current one. This came after we had rehearsal with V, and we were telling V about like how our work chat names change depending on just some inside jokes with the localization team and how they get really funny. And if anybody on like the IT department sees them and so what we're chatting about, we're cooked. Anyway, and I know there's at least one person on the IT team who speaks English, so hopefully he doesn't have too bad an opinion of us. That being said, here are our most recent work chat names. Post to Clarity, obviously from Post Not Clarity. Spelled wrong. I'm not sure how that came there. That came to be. Japan Aphrodisiac Sound Source Research Institute. I also am not sure.
We were researching ASMR.
Yeah, and I think that came up, and I'm not sure if it's like an actual institute. It might be. Rages the mangas. Funny. Ovulating with desire, misspelled. I think this was an actual line in one of our manga.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was not BL.
It was a mistranslation in a TL manga.
Okay. So it was a het series, and yeah, just the concept of ovulating with desire. Like, yeah, same. And then Fondler on the Roof. That was a funny one because we were discussing like the difference in nuances of like ways to translate sound effects. Like my coworker was asking like, what's the difference between a grope and a fondle? And I said like, well, fondle is more loving, you know. You would say like you would say there's a groper on the train, but you wouldn't say there's a fondler on the train. And then my coworker Tako-chan chimed in with Fondler on the Roof, and it was just so good. I had to use it. And on a separate note, the BL team chat is forever named Byaku's Thigh Highs, in reference to this cute Uke-chan that Ames referenced earlier.
My beloved.
Like you can see his thigh highs are on full display here, and they're just so iconic. I want to eat him. And so even though like we change our localization team group chat every week, basically every time there's a new funny quote, this one we've never been able to change it over the years because
I
just
will end whoever changes it. Do not change it.
The topic of our work emojis also came up during rehearsal, and we utilize custom emojis in our work chat, probably to an extreme degree. Ames, explain yourself.
Like 2 years ago, when So and I were involved in CitrusCon, and it was the first one I actually participated in, they had the blushing cat emoji, and I had never felt so seen by being able to use an emoji in my life. And so I actually forced one of our coworkers to add it to the Teams chat.
Yeah. Yeah, so fun. And mine is this hamster. This one took on a new meaning once it entered the chat. At first, I think it was just to be like a reaction of like silence, waiting, like dumbfoundedness, down hearing. But then my coworker, again, Taco-chan, said he responded to it one time by saying, "Dude, don't blast me with the gooning hamster." And I said, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's like exactly the same face that like looks back at you on your phone screen when you're done with their goon session." And ever since then, we've been using it to react to various things. It's very helpful to have a goon react on him when you work at Renta. And Yomogi, what?
We're out of time.
Oh no. Okay, mine's the Shrek for like any type of reaction.
Ames pointed out the beautiful irony of like hers being a cat, mine being a rodent, and Yomogi's being green. Hedgehogs aren't rodents, by the
We
way.
have a theme.
And I want to leave you guys with this, our recent search history.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, we forgot to do the works.
Oh.
no.
Workstation reveal. Well, we'll post these all to the Discord and the blog later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll leave you with
We will
this.
make sure to answer every single one of your questions.
Yes.
Yes, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us again this CitrusCon. We hope to see you in future CitrusCons. You guys are awesome.
Also, join our Discord.
Yeah.
And
It's all
you can
the-
chat with us whenever you want. Well, except for when we're working.
Yeah. This flew by. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Have a great rest.
Thank you.
We're chatting in the Discord later. Thank you.